I still remain one and only Onyami Jesus, and a Hollywood actor and their top content creator. As you are getting this message, spread this message, let it go. Hey!
A war has erupted within a war, and it could destroy the Biafran dream forever. In Okigwe and Olu, once sacred grounds of resistance, Biafrans are no longer just fighting outsiders, they're fighting each other. Commander Gentle, once hailed a hero, now stands accused of the unthinkable, killing his own people, extorting families, even harvesting organs. His fiercest critic, Commander Caterpillar, is calling him a traitor, while others claim Caterpillar himself might be a double agent working with the Nigerian government. The accusations are explosive, the betrayal is bone deep, and EBK, he's declared an all-out war against Gentle and his men. But who's lying? Who's telling the truth? Is the Biafran struggle being hijacked from within, or is this all a wicked plot to collapse the movement from the inside? With Matsi Nnamdi Kanu still in detention and Seaman Ekpa under global fire, the Biafran movement faces its greatest crisis ever. This is more than a story. It's a spiritual and political earthquake. One that could either give birth to a new nation or bury the Biafran dream forever. Don't blink. Don't scroll, because what you're about to witness might just be the moment history turned. A violent clash occurred between the Biafran Liberation Army, BLA, and Musa Boys in Okigwe, resulting in a Biafran Liberation Army victory. Musa Boys and Asari Boys retreated, but are reportedly regrouping with the goal of capturing or eliminating Commander Gentle and his team. Commander Caterpillar, a self-proclaimed Biafran loyalist, spoke out publicly, accusing Commander Gentle of targeting innocent Biafrans. Commander Caterpillar condemned betrayal within the Biafran movement, saying those who took oaths to protect the land are now turning against their own people. He expressed frustration that some fighters are using the Biafra struggle for personal gain, including killing fellow Biafrans for money. Commander Caterpillar firmly stated that he would never accept money to kill his own people and would rather leave the struggle than betray Biafra. He accused Commander Gentle and his team, including someone referred to as Commander Jamaica, of committing atrocities, including killings. While Commander Caterpillar maintains loyalty to Biafra, he said he would never work with Commander Gentle due to the alleged criminal behavior. Doubts and confusion have emerged over Commander Caterpillar's true allegiance, with some suspecting he might be collaborating with the Nigerian government, the zoo. However, some critics have raised suspicion that some Biafrans are aiding the Nigerian government in targeting their fellow citizens. Commander Gentle is being portrayed by his critics as a dangerous figure, even as others in the movement continue to support him. EBK, another voice in the struggle, accused Commander Gentle of kidnapping, killing, and organ harvesting, vowing not to rest until Commander Gentle is stopped. EBK sent a voice message warning Biafrans to be alert and not tolerate criminals using the Biafran movement as cover. He strongly emphasized that true freedom fighters do not kill their own people, warning against criminal elements in disguise. EBK remains determined to eliminate Commander Gentle and his followers, claiming they are damaging the Biafra cause. This highlights growing divisions, mistrust, and infighting within the Biafran liberation movement. There are calls for the release of Matsi Nnamdi Kanu, with some suggesting only he can restore order and unity to the Biafran cause. The current state of the Biafran struggle is described as chaotic, with no clear leadership and rising confusion among followers. They are concerned that if this internal crisis continues, the Biafran dream may collapse under the weight of betrayal and criminal infiltration. The problem at the heart of this explosive story is not just another battle between armed groups in the southeastern region of Nigeria. It goes deeper, far beyond guns and uniforms, far beyond the names like Commander Gentle, Commander Caterpillar, or even EBK. At its core, it is a war for identity, justice, and the very survival of a people who have been brutalized, marginalized, and dehumanized for decades by a system that was never built to serve them. This story revolves around the ongoing war for Biafra's liberation, but it also painfully exposes the cracks that have begun to form within the very walls of the liberation movement. It is a story of betrayal, blood, and bitterness. And yet, it is also a story of hope, courage, and the unyielding cry of a people who refuse to surrender. The trouble began once again in Okigwe and Olu, two symbolic regions of the Biafran struggle, where brave sons and daughters of the land have for long risen to defend their ancestral soil. These two places have been burned repeatedly by the flames of war, first by the Nigerian military during the 1967 to 1970 Biafran genocide, and now by internal conflict threatening to devour the soul of the very movement that seeks to save them. The Biafran Liberation Army, a military arm of the Biafra Freedom Cause, recently launched a crushing assault against forces believed to be loyal to Musa Boys and Asari Boys, mercenaries known to be acting under the influence of the Nigerian government and her oppressive military structure. These external enemies, reportedly bankrolled by forces bent on ensuring Biafra never rises again, invaded Olu and Okigwe, hoping to destroy the resistance. But they failed. According to voices within the Biafran movement, including eyewitnesses and local supporters, the Biafran Liberation Army showed gallant strength. It was not just a physical victory, but a spiritual one. The people, bruised but not broken, felt a sense of reassurance that the land had not been sold completely. The retreat of the Musa Boys and Asari Boys from Orlu and Okigwe marked a symbolic cleansing of external oppressors from Biafran land, even if only temporarily. However, just when many thought the land was regaining control from its colonial tormentors, a deeper crisis erupted, one that has shaken the foundations of Biafra's dream itself. Within the movement, serious accusations have emerged. Commander Gentle, a fighter once praised by many, is now at the center of a hurricane of controversy. His name has become synonymous with betrayal, according to his critics, who now claim he has abandoned the sacred oath of protecting the land and has allegedly turned his weapons against his own people. This allegation, if true, marks one of the most heartbreaking twists in the history of the Biafran liberation movement. One of his fiercest critics, Commander Caterpillar, delivered a scathing condemnation of Gentle's actions. In a public message that rippled through every Biafran support group, both online and offline, Caterpillar accused Commander Gentle and his team, including someone named Jamaica, of heinous crimes, including killing fellow Biafrans, extorting families, and worst of all, collaborating with outsiders to betray the sacred struggle. Caterpillar, a man known for his rugged defense of Igbo land, declared with a tone of heartbreak and frustration that he would never, under any circumstances, kill a fellow Biafran for money, fame, or power. He stated plainly that he would rather step away from the struggle altogether than allow himself to become a tool of internal oppression. What makes this development especially dangerous is not just the accusation, but the timing. At a time when the movement is already bleeding from the imprisonment of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and the global assault against Simon Ekpa, such internal treachery threatens to sink the boat completely. Caterpillar's message raised more than eyebrows. It sparked arguments, suspicion, and even more division. Some began to question whether Caterpillar himself could be trusted. Rumors circulated that he was possibly working with the Nigerian state, the same government that has for decades masterminded the systemic persecution of the Igbo Biafran people, the same government that slaughtered millions of Biafrans during the Civil War, the same regime that continues to detain, torture, and kill peaceful protesters calling for self-determination, the same government that sends heavily armed soldiers into Igbo communities, abducts young men at random, and labels them terrorists without trial. In this environment of suspicion and betrayal, another voice rose, this time from EBK, another respected figure in the freedom movement. EBK went even further, accusing Commander Gentle of kidnapping, killing, and even harvesting organs of innocent Biafrans under the pretense of fighting for freedom. This accusation sent shockwaves across the Biafran world. Organ harvesting is one of the most horrific crimes imaginable, and to link such a monstrous act to a commander of the liberation struggle is to suggest that something truly evil has crept into the movement from within. EBK didn't just speak out. He issued a warning. He called on all Biafrans, especially those still loyal to the dream of an independent homeland, to open their eyes and stop glorifying criminals hiding under the flag of Biafra. He stressed that no true freedom fighter should ever kill their own people. He vowed not to rest until Gentle and those around him were removed from the struggle permanently. His message, both emotional and passionate, carried the weight of someone who feels the movement has been hijacked and must be reclaimed. And yet, amid this boiling cauldron of accusations, counter-accusations, and warlike threats, a desperate voice continues to cry from the shadows, pleading for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. For many Biafrans, only one man can heal this broken family. Only one man can restore discipline, integrity, and clarity to the cause. That man is Kanu, the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, who has spent years warning about infiltration, deception, and betrayal within the camp. Kanu's arrest and continued detention without a fair trial, despite multiple court rulings demanding his release, is part of the same historical injustice that brought about the birth of the Biafran struggle. Nigeria, a country stitched together by colonial greed, was never built to serve the Igbo people or any other marginalized group. From the anti-Igbo pogroms of the 1960s to the Biafran genocide, where millions of women, children, and men were bombed, starved, and killed, to the deliberate underdevelopment of the southeast, to the disproportionate military presence and repeated massacres, every chapter of the Biafran story has been soaked in the blood of the innocent. Today, the Nigerian government, using its military and security agencies, continues this legacy. Peaceful Biafran agitators are routinely shot during rallies. Their bodies disappear. Their families are silenced. Their homes are burned. And the world remains silent. It is within this context that one must view the internal crisis tearing the Biafran movement apart. It is not just an ideological dispute. It is not merely a clash of egos. It is a spiritual sickness that comes from years of isolation, persecution, and desperation. A sickness fed by a system designed to ensure that Biafra never rises. But is there a solution? Yes, but it will not come from silence. It will not come from compromise, and it will certainly not come from betrayal. The first step must be the unconditional release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Until the spiritual and political leader of the movement is free, the body will remain directionless. The second step must be a complete purification of the movement, a fearless purge of those who have turned the struggle into a criminal enterprise. Those who kill for money, those who spy for the enemy, those who betray the blood of their ancestors for political crumbs. The third step is unity, not blind unity, but disciplined, truth-based unity. Unity around principles, unity around justice, unity around self-sacrifice. That unity must be built and led by men and women who fear no one but God. Leaders like Simon Ekpa, despite all odds and attacks, have continued to stand in defense of the dream. These voices, though hated and hunted by the Nigerian government, have kept the hope alive. We are not far from victory, but we are not there yet. The Biafran movement must now choose. Will it allow the darkness of betrayal to swallow its light? Or will it fight through this storm and emerge stronger, purer, and more united? The pain of Olu and Okigwe is real. The betrayal by those who once carried guns for liberation is heartbreaking. The fear that Biafrans are turning on Biafrans is not just dangerous, it is tragic. But history is full of moments like this, moments where freedom movements almost died, moments where the enemy seemed to have succeeded, moments where it felt like the dream was lost. But dreams do not die easily, especially dreams watered with the blood of millions, especially dreams that come from the soul of a people who have endured centuries of darkness and still believe in the dawn. Let the world understand this. Biafra is not just a geographical demand. It is a spiritual mandate. It is a call to justice, to dignity, to freedom. No amount of betrayal can silence that call. Let the doubters remember, even in the midst of betrayal, Moses still led his people to the promised land. Let the Nigerian government know, for every Kanu you jail, 1 million more rise in his spirit. And let every Biafran, wherever they are, remember this. The road may be bloody, but the destination is holy. Biafra lives. Biafra rises. Biafra shall never fall. As the sun sets over the red soil of Olu and the hilly terrain of Okigwe, the land itself seems to whisper old stories of suffering, resistance, and sacrifice. From the the days of the genocidal war between 1967 and 1970 to the modern-day atrocities against unarmed Biafrans, the southeastern heartland of Nigeria has never truly known peace. The gunfire may quieten for a moment, but the anguish continues. The recent confrontation between the Biafran Liberation Army and the Musa Boys is only one layer of a more complex and painful story. A story of a people still clawing their way out of systemic oppression, state-sponsored marginalization, and now, heartbreakingly, betrayal from within. The battle that erupted in Okigwe was not an isolated event. It was part of a carefully coordinated resistance mission by the Biafran Liberation Army to flush out foreign militias allegedly sent by the Nigerian military to destabilize liberated Biafran territories. According to local eyewitnesses and community leaders, helicopters without clear insignia had been spotted days before the attack, dropping off suspected mercenaries in forested regions near Orlu. These fighters, known locally as Musa Boys and Asari Boys, are believed to be a fusion of radical mercenaries from the North and Niger Delta, who have been strategically armed to crush any semblance of Biafran autonomy. The BLA's defense strategy was swift and brutal. Commander Gentle, despite the heavy criticism now aimed at him, coordinated what insiders call Operation Uhamiri, a swift counter-offensive that dislodged the foreign fighters from multiple camps in Okigwe. The operation reportedly led to the death of several Musa commanders and left the remaining enemies scattering into the bushes. The people of Okigwe, already weary from constant military raids, described it as a moment of rare peace, a time when the village slept without the fear of sudden night raids by uniformed gunmen who called themselves Nigerian soldiers but behaved like hired thugs. But just as hope flickered, darkness crept back in. Commander Gentle, hailed as a hero by some, quickly became a target of intense condemnation by others within the movement. The accusations came loud and fast from Commander Caterpillar, EBK, and unnamed members of the IPOB Directorate of State, DOS, all claiming that Gentle had strayed from the ideals of the struggle. While no video evidence has surfaced publicly to prove these claims, the sheer weight of the allegations has been enough to split the movement down the middle. Those who support Gentle argue that he is a scapegoat. They say that ever since he began exposing collaborators within the movement, those secretly meeting with Nigerian politicians and accepting dirty contracts, he has been marked for elimination. They believe the recent accusations against him are part of a broader smear campaign designed to discredit him and paralyze his influence. These supporters see him as a lion fighting alone in the wilderness and view his accusers as snakes lurking in the grass, waiting to strike. Others, like Commander Caterpillar, are not convinced. In his emotional message, he spoke of bodies left to rot in villages, of mothers crying over missing sons, of a struggle turned into a personal empire by certain commanders. He described a heartbreaking moment when a young boy, barely 15, was allegedly abducted by Gentle's men and found lifeless days later, dumped near a shrine in Imo State. Caterpillar says, "This is not the Biafra they dreamt of. This is not the Biafra they fought for." He described how it feels to hold a dying comrade in his arms and wonder if the bullet came from a Nigerian soldier or a fellow Biafran now bought and owned by Abuja. And then came EBK's chilling voice note. His words were not laced with politics or negotiation. They were sharp and unforgiving. He vowed to KPI Commander Gentle. In Biafran street slang, that means to eliminate. He accused Gentle of not just betrayal, but monstrous atrocities, kidnapping, organ harvesting, and running a criminal cartel masked in Biafran regalia. Whether these allegations are true or not, the effect they have had on the psyche of the movement is devastating. The IPOB Directorate of State has added fuel to the fire by hinting at internal disciplinary actions and even suggesting assassination as a last resort to purge the movement of rogue actors. This declaration has raised alarm across pro-Biafran communities worldwide. Many now ask, how did a movement that began as a peaceful referendum campaign, a cry for dignity and freedom, evolve into a stage for internecine warfare? How did a resistance once known for its discipline and spiritual purity descend into something so corrupted? so bloody. To understand this crisis, one must revisit the history. In the months leading up to the Nigerian Civil War, the Igbo people were brutally massacred across the northern and western regions of Nigeria. Over 50,000 were killed in just a few weeks, often hacked to death by their neighbors while the government watched. Entire families were wiped out, and trains carrying Igbo returnees were attacked and their corpses thrown into rivers. Those who survived returned home to eastern Nigeria, only to be bombed from the air by the Nigerian military after the declaration of the Republic of Biafra in 1967. The Nigerian state, with the help of British and Soviet weaponry, launched a total war on the region, including starvation tactics that killed over 1 million Biafran children. The IPOB, Directorate of State, has added fuel to the fire by hinting at internal disciplinary actions and even suggesting assassination as a last resort to purge the movement of rogue actors. This declaration has raised alarm across pro-Biafran communities worldwide. Many now ask, how did a movement that began as a peaceful referendum campaign, a cry for dignity and freedom, evolve into a stage for internecine warfare? How did a resistance once known for its discipline and spiritual purity descend into something so corrupted, so bloody? And yet, Nigeria never apologized. Instead, they declared a fraudulent policy of no victor, no vanquished, while continuing to treat the Igbo as second-class citizens. Igbo candidates were denied military promotions. The southeast was deliberately underdeveloped. Every attempt by the region to rise, whether economically, politically, or culturally, was stifled. IPOB emerged from this ashes, not as a terrorist group, but as a spiritual awakening. Led by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, it was meant to revive the cry of Biafra through peaceful civil disobedience. But the Nigerian state responded with bullets. Thousands were killed during peaceful rallies in Aba, Onitsha, and Enugu. The military's Operation Python Dance alone claimed hundreds of lives. Even churches were raided. Even mothers praying at vigil were arrested. When Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped in Kenya and illegally extradited to Nigeria in 2021, it was a gross violation of international law. And yet again, the world looked away. That injustice is the seed of the current confusion. Without Kanu's guidance, the House has become chaotic. Different leaders emerged, some sincere, some opportunistic. And now, the movement risks tearing itself apart, while the enemy claps from the shadows. Still, all hope is not lost. From Finland, Simon Ekpa continues to speak with conviction, calling for calm, for unity, and for ideological purity.
Jesus Christ of Nazareth.
My name is Caterpillar, Commander Caterpillar. And we're killing your banana so that you could on your banana. They made this broadcast because of the little child. Yeah, so Ebubeagu. But our money will be made. Our money is somebody. Jonas also. No matter how they are trying to spoil my name, I don't brother care. But what I know is that I know the God I'm serving. That's why I am alive tonight. I know the battle I am facing. I know the challenges. But I'm still alive today because of the grace of God. What happened in around this I don't give this morning to tell everyone. Yes, we know that our people love us, love the struggle, love how we are doing the struggle, love how we are challenging, love how we are battling with our enemy. But let's just let reality be told. Because I cannot say that you are my brother, that we take oath to protect our land, that we take oath to make sure that we have a peaceful home. Small time we will turn the oath against my people. Because of Neil, my brother. And I'm gonna give it the struggle, the time. This can happen again. It is my brother. I will not say anything. That is to show that I'm not fighting freedom. What freedom is all about, that it belongs to the truth. Protect your brother. Don't harm your brother. Don't harm your brother. But I'm saying that some people use this opportunity to create awareness for themselves, to kill our own people because of selfish interests. More Caterpillar cannot stand on that. I let her quit and they struggle and go my way and go and find something to do. Let me tell you, if you are giving me money or if you are supporting me to kill my own people, you are the first person I am going to kill. And if you are giving me money to be lying against somebody, you are the first person I am going to lie against him or her. I don't know that today you know the meaning of caterpillar. Unama the meaning here. I stand by truth. You know that the truth will enough for Funaro. That is why some people hate truth more than any other thing.